Hi, boys and girls. My name is Miss Jennifer, and I'm a teaching artist in the Pace Art program. And I am glad that I could join you today. Today, we will be connecting a story that you learned with your classroom teacher to a fun art lesson. We will be using lines, shapes, and colors to create our picture today. We are also going to be talking about different things that you talked about with your classroom teacher, things like story, imagination, fiction, and so much more. So, boys and girls, today we'll be talking about a story that is made up in a person's imagination. You might ask, what is an imagination? Well, your imagination is when you use your brain to create something that is not real. Let's go ahead and let's practice. Let's close our eyes and let's think in our head something that is not real. We're using our imagination to think about something that you sort of made up in your mind. Good job. Now I want you to turn and I want you to tell your neighbor what you thought of in your imagination. Now remember, it can't be something that is real. Go ahead and share it now. Oh wow, I heard some really good imaginary little sentences that you kind of created up in your head. Stories are made up of different kinds of sentences that are put together and that they tell a story. So, let's go ahead now and let's get started on our lesson. Today, we're going to be talking about a story that you have been learning with your classroom teacher. If you look here, these pictures might give you an idea of what that story might be. So, if you said the story was Chicken Little, you were right. And you can tell by all of the chickens that I have up on the wall. So Chicken Little was an imaginary story that was created by someone using their brain to write this story. Who writes a story, boys and girls? An author. Good job. So an author writes a book. And in this case, the author used their imaginations to make a fictional story or a made-up story. Do you remember who the main character in the story was? Well, if you said Chicken Little, you are correct. And Chicken Little in the story had lots of friends that helped her along the way. Those characters were Goosey Lucy, Ducky Lucky, Henny Penny, Turkey Lurkey, Foxy Loxy, and they all helped her to understand that what she thought fell on her head, which was an acorn, and she thought it was the sky, they helped her to realize that she was only imagining, she was using her imagination. When the acorn fell, she instantly thought it was the sky falling, but it really was not. Now that we learned a few things about the story Chicken Little, and we know that the author used their imagination to create this story, we are about to start working on our picture of what we think Chicken Little might have looked like. We will also be talking about the place in which the chickens live. The supplies that you're going to need today is a white sheet of paper. It doesn't matter what size your paper is. You will also be using either a black or a brown marker. Now, if you don't have a black or a brown, you could maybe use like a green marker instead. That will be okay. You will also be using a variety of crayons. So just get the crayons that you have. Now let's go ahead and get our supplies. Let's put our paper in front of us, just like this. And let's put our crayons and markers off to the side of our desk. So boys and girls, before we start drawing, I want to go over a few pictures of chickens with you today. Here is a picture of a chicken. And notice this chicken sort of has like brown feathers and white feathers. Did you know that chickens have feathers? Yes, they sure do. So this chicken has brown and sort of a cream color set of feathers. And how about this chicken? What color feathers do you see? Well, I see what's sort of like a reddish brown with some black at the very end of her feathers. As you can see, chickens are all different colors. Here is a chicken that is what? You tell me what color this chicken is. If you said that this chicken is black and white, you are correct. And what about this chicken? What colors do you see? Good job. Again, you see black and sort of gray feathers. If we go back to the one that we just talked about, you can see that they're the same color, but they're actually different kinds of patterns on their feathers. What are patterns, you might ask? Well, patterns are when you have black and white, just like this, next to each other. So we have black, white, black, white, black, white. So these are different kinds of black and white patterns on the chicken's feathers. We have one more picture. And what is this, boys and girls? Well, if you said it's a baby chicken, you are right. We call this little baby chicken a chick. And so this little chicken's gonna grow up, and it might be one of the colors of the chickens that we just looked at. Chickens are really fun. Chickens usually live on what do you think this is, boys and girls? A farm. They live on a farm. And chickens are so smart, and they can even be a pet. Yes, you could have a pet chicken. Of course, the character in our story, Chicken Little. I'm thinking that Chicken Little might be a brown chicken, but you know what? In your imagination, you can make your Chicken Little be any color that you want today. Black, brown, maybe with some red. I think you can put her any color that you would like. And so we're going to be drawing our chicken today on a farm. So chickens live on a farm. And on that farm, they eat different kinds of bugs, little pieces of grass. You know an amazing thing about a chicken? When a chicken eats one piece of grass, we call that little piece of grass a blade of grass. When they eat that blade of grass, they slurp it up just like we eat spaghetti. Isn't that so funny? I thought you would get a good laugh out of that. And so, of course, let's get ready to draw our Chicken Little on a farm. Let's get our marker. Remember again, it does not matter if you use a brown or a black marker. I think I'm going to change it up a bit, and I'm going to use my brown marker for today. So let's get started. Here is my paper I'm going to be drawing on, and this is the paper that I'm going to use if I have to draw something that you are going to be practicing while you're drawing today. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to be drawing, you guessed it, Chicken Little. So let's do this together. We're going to use different kinds of lines that we have learned, and we're also going to use shapes when drawing today. let's make sure that our paper is horizontally. That means it's going from one side to the other, horizontally. I also like to think about this is like our paper is standing tall like a door. If it's laying on its side, I call this laying on its side. So, standing tall like a door would be this way. Laying on its side would be this way. Of course, I want it laying on its side. And let's begin. Let's get our markers. Now, I want you to think about where you want your chicken in your picture. I think I'm going to make my chicken right here. Now, we don't want to make it too small. We want to make sure that we make it big enough because our main character in our story, which is Chicken Little, is pretty large in my picture. We want her to be the chicken that just kind of takes up most of the paper. So let's go ahead. And we're going to start about right here, and we're going to draw this line right here. Now this line is called a curve line. It is also called a cup line. All right, so now this is the top of her body. And now I'm going to go up and around just like this. So I made a curved line going this way. We're going to now make a really long, big curved line. Again, remember, this line is also like a cup. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go all the way to where my line is on this side. And I'm going to go all the way around and back to the top. Good job. I'm liking your chickens already. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this part right here. And in this part, you will see that I have another kind of line. What kind of line do you think that might be, my friends? Well, if you said that is a zigzag line, you are correct. So let's make our zigzag now. And I made 3 bumps on my zigzag line. But if you want more bumps, you can put more bumps. This is going to be the tail part of Chicken Little. Now, what does she have here? She has an eye. So I'm going to go back to this side and I'm going to draw a circle. Inside of my circle, I'm going to put a dot. Let's do that now. Remember, draw a circle and then put a dot on the inside. And now, Chicken Little has an eye. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to work on Chicken Little's beak. Did you know that a chicken is actually a bird? And a chicken has a beak just like a bird. We're going to use this shape right here today. What shape is that, boys and girls? Well, if you said a triangle, you are correct. So here we go. We're going to put it right here on her face. So here we go, our triangle. And that is her beak. If you want to put a straight line in the middle so that her beak can open and close, you can definitely do that now. I'll give you a little time to get that on your paper. All right. So here we have this red part on top of our chicken. What could that red part be? That is called a chicken's comb. Sounds like you're combing your hair, but it is a chicken's comb. Let's say that word together. Comb. Good job. And I simply used this line to draw the comb. What line is that, boys and girls? Our wavy line. So here on the top of her head, I'm going to draw my wavy line for the comb of her head. Let's do that now. Good job. And right underneath her beak, she has another part right here that is also red. And we're going to use this line. And what line is that, boys and girls? Well, if you said that that is a curve, you are right. But it is also like a big cut line. And we're going to draw it right here, just like that. Good job. Chicken Little has 2 feet, and so we're just going to put straight lines going down under her body. And a chicken has 3 toes. We have 5 toes, but she has 3 toes. 3 toes on one side and 3 toes on the other side. Good job. Now here, Chicken Little has something right here. Do you know what that part of a chicken is called? Well, if you said the wing, you are right. If you look right here on this chicken, this part is her wing. That's the part that helps her to fly. And so, here we go. We're going to use our curved line going this way. Then we're going to start on this side again, and we're going to make a big curve, but we're not going to connect it together. Good job. And here we go, another curve, or as we also call it, a cup line. And there's Chicken Little. Now remember, Chicken Little lives on a farm. So on a farm, what do you think we might find? Let's look carefully at our picture. And what do you see? I want you to go ahead and I want you to turn to your friend and I want you to tell your friend what you see on a farm. Let's do that now. Very good. I heard some really good answers. One of the answers I heard was a barn. And a barn is a place where animals live. I also heard a fence to keep the animals from running away. And I also heard that there's dirt and there's lots of grass, because inside of that dirt and that grass is food for Chicken Little to eat and other animals that are on a farm. We have a sun and we also have a cloud. What are some other animals that you would think could be on a farm? Well, if you said a goat, or maybe a horse, maybe sheep, maybe even a turkey could be on a farm. There are so many different kinds of animals that live on a farm. And a farm is usually at someone's house. It's usually people that love animals and like to have them around their yard in a farm. I want you to tell your neighbor now 2 animals that you can think of that live on a farm. Let's do that now. Good job. I heard some really good answers. So now we're going to go down to the bottom of our picture here, and I have a big curved line. This is just dirt that is on the ground, kind of like a little hill. And so if you want a hill, you can go ahead and put a hill, and it doesn't matter how your heel looks. Here my heel is a little bit lower. So there I go. Now on top of my heel I have some what? It is green. So what would that be that is growing out of the dirt? Well, if you said that is grass, you are right. And to make the grass, I kind of can put lines together. You can also use your zigzags close together. It's really up to you on how you want to make your grass. So let's make grass. You can even make grass up here, and maybe here, and maybe even here. So let's make grass. You can make as much grass as you want on the bottom of your paper. Let's do that now. Now that you have your grass on your picture, let's go ahead and let's make this hill right here. Now notice how this hill or this line does not go through Chicken Little's body, because if it went through her body, then she'd have an extra line. But instead, it starts and stops at her body, then it skips the space, and then it starts again. So now, I want you to start on this side, and I want you to draw a wavy line, and then stop when you get to her body, and then, here we go, draw the rest of your wavy line. This is the grass area, and this part is going to be the sky. So, where do you think Chicken Little might sleep at night? If you said the barn, you were right. So, here we go. We're going to make our barn for Chicken Little. And there we go. So what I did is I made a large rectangle. Then I made another rectangle on the inside. And anybody know what this letter might be? Well, if you said a letter X, you are correct. And so I put a letter X on the inside. Again, one large rectangle, another rectangle on the inside, and a letter X in the middle. Now remember that Chicken Little was the character in the story, or the main character in the story. Later, you might want to take some time and you might want to add some of her other friends into the story. So keep that in mind. You might want to draw Goosey Lucy, which would probably be a goose. You could probably draw Ducky Lucky, which would be what kind of animal on a farm. If you said a duck, you are correct. Good job. And she had other friends. There were also animals on a farm. You could add those to your picture a little later. All right. So now let's draw the top of our barn. Here we go. We're going to draw one line going this way and one line going that way. Those are diagonal lines. Let's say them together. Diagonal lines. Good job. So there's 1 and 2. And let's do that now. Now remember, the story of Chicken Little is not a real story. It is a story that the author used his imagination to create. And so if you decide that while you're drawing, you want to use your imagination, and maybe you want to add some other things that Miss Jennifer didn't put in her picture, or maybe you want something in a different place because that's what you see in your imagination, feel free to do that. Good job. All right, the top of the roof of the barn is simply a straight line. So our straight line. Just like that. Good job. Did you know that chickens, when they sleep, they dream? They dream just like we do. Maybe their little imaginations while they're dreaming come up with fun little stories. What do you think? I thought that was pretty neat about chickens. And chickens can live for a very, very long time. They can live up to like 12 years old. And do you know, that is a very long time for a chicken to live. All right. And now we want to make our fence. Watch Miss Jennifer. We're going to make skinny rectangles, just like this, one on the side of the other. Remember, a rectangle is 2 straight lines and connected together. And here we go. 1 straight line, 2 straight lines, and connect the top together. All right. 1 straight line, another straight line, connect the top together. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Straight lines connected together, straight lines connected together, and straight lines and connected together. Good job. I'll give you a minute to do that. Remember, on a farm, there can be other things besides just a barn and grass and animals. You might even see a pond, maybe a tractor, maybe different kinds of fences. Maybe big tall hills, lots of grass, maybe even corn, or maybe a garden with tomatoes. So there are different things that you can put on a farm. Use your imagination. Maybe you can make a pretend picture of a farm with pretend animals that you make up in your mind, or even maybe a pretend building. I think that would be a lot of fun, and that is definitely something that you could do a little later. The next thing that we're going to add in our picture is our sun, and we're simply going to use our circle to do that. You can put your sun anywhere that you want in your picture. I think I'm going to change my sun, and I want to put it like a cup line or a curved line, and it's kind of sticking off the top of the paper. Then I'm going to put my straight lines for my sun's rays. And anywhere that you want, you'll put a cloud. We're simply using our curved lines to do that. And here I'm going to make a curve, 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 cup, 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 just like that. And now we finished drawing our picture of Chicken Little and the farm in which she lives in. So now it is time to start coloring. And it doesn't really matter what colors you use to color your picture because it's your own picture. Use your imagination. Use the colors that you like. And so here I'm going to start coloring Chicken Little. You can pick any color that you want. So let's color Chicken Little together. You don't want to press too hard when you're coloring because you want it to be very light. I'm not going to color over her eye. I'm going to skip over her eye because I'm going to put that a different color. And so there you go. I made my Chicken Little a sort of light brown. I'm going to take a darker brown now, and remember Chicken Little has feathers on her. So to make my feathers, I'm just going to put some little curved and straight lines close together. And so I'm going to make my Chicken Little some little feathers on her body. So there we go. And I can always take my light brown and I can go back and I can make some parts of my picture a little darker, just like this, and maybe around the outside edge of her wing. I now want to color the red parts on her. So remember, this is her comb. And there we go. All right, and there we go. There's her comb, and there's the other part on her. Just like this. Good job, boys and girls. The next thing that you need to do is color her beak. I'm going to use orange, but you pick the color that you want. You know what? I might also trace over her legs so she has orange legs, just like this. I'm going to go ahead and next I'm going to color my barn. I'm going to use my red because most of the time barns are painted red, but not always. When Miss Jennifer was a little girl, I lived on a farm and our barn was not red. Our barn was brown, also over the door. Now the roof of the barn is going to be black, but you could actually use brown or another darker color if you would like to color in the roof of your barn. And I'm going to let you just decide what colors you want now. So instead of Miss Jennifer telling you what color to color something, I'm just going to let you color it the color you want. I'm going to use a little bit of orange on my sun, just like that. I'm going to color my clouds a dark blue. Just color the parts that you want to color. You will always have time to finish coloring your lesson later at home. So I'm going to now pick up my light blue and I'm going to color my sky just like that. I can always go back and I can add more color later. And I have one more thing to do, and that is to color my grass. I'm going to use my green, maybe where some of these parts are of grass that I made, I'm going to color it a little bit darker, maybe along the line. There is one more thing that Miss Jennifer did not tell you to do, so let's get our marker really quick. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make some straight lines between our rectangles, just like this, to make the other part of our fence. I hope that you have fun finishing up your color sheet that we just made, or your drawing. And I want you to go and tell your friends or your family maybe little stories that you made up with your imagination.